Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, it's 4 minutes past 5. It's time to start our budget workshop. Will you please stand, pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, John.
Good evening, everyone. What I did is to look at the multicolored one. As requested by the board last meeting, I put in another full-time person for the police department. So if you go down line 123 police, you'll see the total now is 515,747, which is an increase of $80,206, which represents an 18.4% increase for the department. The impact of that is that instead of having a 2% budget increase, we now have a 2.8%, and it means the amount that has to be covered by withdrawals from reserves is now $159,000 instead of $113,000, because the extra cost of the police department by the time we net out part-timers, overtime, and such is $45,000. And if you look at the budget adjustment sheet, it's a short sheet, got the blue across the top, 223. What I did there, with Kathy's help, of course, I put out the key numbers. The 5.7 million was last year's budget. The original proposal we were looking at in June 18 was 5.857 million. So, and that gave us what we ended up at the end of the meeting last week was 113,344, which was the 2% increase for the overall budget. So adding the police department, police officer, it's an extra 45,995. So if you add that amount plus the original 113,000, you get $159,000, which has to be covered, which is reflected in the sheet you just looked at, the first sheet, a 2.8% increase to the overall budget. And at Julie's request, I ran the numbers for the full-time planner, which is 98,021. And so you add 98,021 to the original 113,000, you find we've got $211,000, 365, that we have to fund out of reserves, and that converts to a 3.7% increase for the overall budget. And if you add both new positions, you'd be looking at an expenditure of $144,016 extra, which when you add the original 113,344, means you're looking at 257,360 extra on the budget, which converts to a 4.5% increase from last year. I figure that's the easiest way of putting it out for you to look at. And that's the main part. The other is looking at the revenues. Expanded. Kathy broke out additional breakdown on the state revenue, which is most of our anticipated revenues are. And also, and I know not everybody will agree with this, on Dwayne's projections for recreation department, I reduced it to $400,000, which is what the actuals were in 2019. And beyond that, I don't think there are any other changes in that yet. And then the last thing I did, that's your last page, but I'll skip these things. I added the other 2021 projects that the board wanted to see, and namely the new ambulance, $200,000, the stretcher, $27,000, the cruiser for the police, Judy had proposed at the end of the meeting that $1.2 million were taken from reserves, which means that if we stayed with a 2% increase budget, that'd be $182,000, 924 to be used to reduce taxation. However, if we add those two positions, that takes care of most of it. So that's my summary of where we were. I believe it's what the board asked me to do, and that's yes.
Well, I know we asked you to put in the police officer,
Yeah.
but we didn't ask you to put in the planner or to reduce the rec revenue.
Well,
I asked the planner.
I got the
Just to
impression.
see what the numbers were.
I got the strong impression that the board didn't find Dwayne's revenue projections credible, and this is not a new thing. Spoke to Denise, spoke to the auditor, and they figured this is in line.
And you guys don't like the idea of holding him accountable to what his projection is? I mean, he has said to my face, and then he said to us in an email, that if he's not bringing in the revenue, he's not going to spend, and he's going to stick with his budget. I thought that was kind of refreshing. It's a lot different than what we did with Lisa. And then before that was before my time, that this is a new director. And the other thing is, by the time we approve this budget, this is sort of a separate question, it's going to be September 8th. How does it work? Like if we put in a planner for a whole year, the year is normally July to June 30. What happens to those 3 months? And do we really need to budget like a whole year worth of planner if it's not going to start until the second quarter? Same thing with the police officer.
Right.
Like I don't know what happens to these 3 months of the summer.
Generally speaking, we have to line up our revenues with our budgeted expenditure. So yeah, we have to wait, and as a result, we will not be using the full amount. But we've got a lot of estimates in there, including revenue right across the board. I mean, I hear various versions of what might or might not come from the state, what the reductions might be, and the flip side is we might get money, stimulus money, neither of which I can pin down. So that's why I ran cautious on revenues.
I don't think we can count on any money from the government, I mean, at this point. I think we have to look at what we have. And I still look at Dwayne's, revenue. He's at 305,000 right now, and if you put it down to 400,000, where's he gonna get $100,000 in less than a week?
No, it's for next, this
I mean,
is
this
projected
year-
revenue for next year.
That's for next year.
Okay.
Now, if I could
Well, even
explain.
at that, he's still, what he projected.
Well, this year we had to shut down for 3 months, so.
I understand.
But the other thing, Kim, is that there's a huge structural gap, and it's been a slow run for many people that barely half of the rec department's expenditure is covered by revenue. And there's been discussion as to how best to tie the two things together. And I think if a warrant article were constructed that voters were asked how much they want to put towards supporting the operations, then that would give us a starting point as opposed to getting 3/4 of the way through the year and saying, well, I think I'll still be able to make it, my revenues are going to, suddenly surge, whatever. But this is a long-standing thing. I'm only coming in with 1 year's experience, second director. But historically, there've been huge gaps and missed revenue projections consistently. And that's what I have to go on. And this is not a good year to be hopeful about revenue. So that's really all as I said, I haven't been watching this for multiple years, so that's the best I can do.
And
Finance on the board?
Yes, I'm just looking at this stuff for a moment here.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't think we should add in a planner this year, and I also don't think we should add in the additional police officer. And if there was some way we could even reduce taxes, wouldn't that be nice, but lower the number?
Did you say you didn't want the police officer or the planner?
No, not this year. I don't think we should change that. I don't think we should reduce the revenue. I think hold Dwayne accountable and he either sinks or he swims. And actually do that, not just pay lip service and then sit around for a year and not pay attention. And then I also don't think that this is the right time to add in a new positions, police officer or planner. And the other thing is, by the time this budget gets approved, the first quarter has already gone by. And we're gonna have a new town manager who comes in, who's gonna have to get his feet on the ground and make his own plans. And what I would really like to see is a town manager who lets department heads run their departments and holds them accountable and can do some of the work that a planner would do.
Yeah, I agree with you totally on one of the positions. The perception would not be very positive adding the position. We've settled 2 contracts and some expensive benefits. So we're under a fair bit of pressure just with our existing staff. And it's also kind of hard to plan because if we get a new person or somebody else decides to get benefits, we can suddenly look at in a small department, we can look at a $10,000, $15,000 increase in benefit costs. So very hard to plan, but so small an employee base. Minor changes in configuration and so on and so forth can make a big impact on the departmental budget, any department.
I follow up with what Kim said. I wouldn't support a planner or an extra police officer. I just did an average of the actuals at the rec department and take this for what it's worth. 429,000 would be an average over the last 6 years. So if I would feel comfortable with John's number of 400 or the 429.
Under this one here, the police department, the police officer and the planner, are those figures represent a year, both of those?
And with the police department, you make adjustments with the overtime, there won't be overtime, won't be usually any part-timers, and that's why you don't get the full whack for the cost of one new individual.
What would be the full year police officer compare?
Well, that's a full year with the adjustments, the other adjustments to the staff. So that 45 would be for 42. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Well, I guess you are. My question is, why is the planner twice as much as the police officer?
Because starting from zero, comes in there, puts all on the planner, and we have to assume that the benefits would be probably family coverage perhaps. Whereas in an existing department like the police department, they sort of fill these shifts with maybe overtime from the existing staff or part-timers, and that's why there's some savings in that, which means when you look at the cost of the new police officer, it's not the full amount. The full amount would probably be more like 90. Would that be?
Yeah.
So it looks weird. It's kind of can't be that difficult, but.
Well, because normally, the last couple of planners were fresh out of college almost.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, there's a lot of territory to cover. I mean, the county has a woman who was a transportation planner. That's nice. And then somebody else might be more focused on the economic development side, or waterfront, or whatever it might be. very hard to get the skills a town like Wiscasset would need all in one person.
I agree with some of Kim's thinking, even though I don't agree with the end result. But looking at these two positions, if we only budgeted them for 6 months, because the first 3 months are gone, we're gonna have a new planner, a new manager. Give them 2 or 3 months before they start going out and making some big hirings, so we could cut 6 months off of both of these positions. I'm looking at, I want to boil this down so it's a 0% increase and make this happen. Looks like it almost could happen.
The only problem that I see, and that's why I asked John to put in the planner, is, and I agree, we need a planner in town, don't take me wrong, we do need one. We're taking money from Payson to support these 2 positions. Basically, in my viewpoint, that's what we're doing. Come next year, if we don't have, are we gonna take money from Payson again to support these 2 positions? I mean, every year, is that what's gonna happen if we don't have the revenue, if we don't have something coming in? I'm just concerned of what we're gonna do to the next board. What position are we gonna put the next board in? But that's why I asked him for the numbers. I wanted to see what we would have to get. And I agree. I don't feel that this is the year to do this. I think we have to just tighten our belt. I mean, we did the same thing with the bathrooms downtown, everything else. Let's see what happens within the next year. And hopefully, with a new town manager, maybe we can get more income coming into the town. Maybe the thing on 27 will pop up and start generating revenue. I don't know. Let's just see what happens in another year.
Yeah, there is some.
We get the government money. I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, that's always, it's generally something you have to wait for, even. But, there is a fair bit of activity on the construction side, and some businesses related to that. Certainly the congregate housing up in the old school, that'll be an excellent project. And Bruce is busy. I mean, he's only a 20-hour-a-week guy, and he's inspecting and he's following up on ordinance violations and building permits and all sorts of stuff. But that is an area where revenue is definitely increasing, and some of those impact fees can be quite large. So that's for now. That's where I see tangible growth. Now the other thing is, and I've said to the board about this economic development authority planning money. We're applying for that. I've been talking to Mary Ellen, and we're looking for some decent sized money. We thought about Alan Brigham, who is the regional director for New England, and we're trying to put something together there in the next few weeks. And we've applied for a small grant on the waterfront, $7,500 with a $2,500 match. If we get $7,500, I'm sure the board won't have a problem putting $2,500 towards it. Just bit by bit, and then Lincoln County Regional Planning, the College Commission. They're working on behalf of the whole county, and like last week I went over to Mason Station and with Mary Ellen, and we looked at some of the properties that have potential for significant development. And of course we have infrastructure from Main Yankee, we have the Mason Station. We're working on that too. Actually, Mary Ellen is involved with that as we're trying to put the proposal together for the EDA people. So there are things that, if even one of them breaks the right way, as opposed to smashes, I think it would be a good thing. But the key is we've got to get decent jobs. That's just for the community.
Catherine?
I think, this planning position, we can call it whatever we want. I look at it as a, kind of a community development, aspect of planning. And I think at this time, we need it. We need that position, probably more than we've ever needed it. I just feel that, there is so much going on that a new town manager, I mean, we know what a town manager does on a daily basis. And that's not going to change. And there are people who say, well, why doesn't the town manager do some of that? Well, they ought to just step in the shoes for a day or her shoes for a day and figure it out. You can't do it. Only so many hours in the week. The planning board, everybody on a committee in this town is basically a volunteer. And the planning board really needs help with ordinances and getting people, potential business people or whoever, through the process and making it happen a little more quickly, perhaps. So I am definitely in favor of that planning position. I'm also in favor of the police position, but I'm willing to negotiate, I guess. Or I can see every other side of it on that, but planning to me is a definite yes in my book.
Kathy, can you tell us what we used for the overlay figure last year?
For the planner?
No, for the tax commitment.
For the municipal side?
Yeah, it's just one figure, overlay on the tax commitment. It's not here anywhere.
Let me go see if I can find that. I'll look at the municipal.
Can I explain my thinking on the planner? Because I really believe that we need economic development, and I've always supported the planning position. My concern is that this particular year, by the time this budget passes, we're already going to be almost to the end of the first quarter. And we used to have a really great planner, that guy Ben Avril, and his budget was eliminated because there was a movement in the town to not support a planner. He was a really good planner, and not this high of a number. This is a pretty high number if you were thinking of getting, I don't remember what his budget was, but it was not near 100,000, it was closer to like 50-ish. And I just would like, when we bring a planner on board, I'd like to set them up for success. And I'm just concerned that bringing somebody in at a really high number, 3 months into the year, during a pandemic, may not be the best timing. I feel like we should just remain in wait and see mode as much as we can. But I agree, we do need all of those things, people to help, help in starting up businesses, but there's a lot of uncertainties.
And Jack, do you have any comments?
I was just going to follow up on Kim. It's really looking like by the influx of the cases in other states, because of non-social distancing and whatever. I guess to make a long story short, to follow up with Kim is, I don't think business are going to look to expand or move or develop, because they're in a wait and see mode too. So not that I don't think that the town needs a planner or an economic developer, I definitely feel, but I just don't think that this year is the year to implement it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It would have been different if they'd gotten off the ground, 1st of July, but it's going to be the end of our season, and I feel like businesses are trying to stay afloat right now. And anybody who's trying to open a business right now, who started before March, they're in a tough territory.
Survival mode, right?
Yeah.
Right.
John?
I agree that a flower would be a good thing to have. The difficulty is obviously having a new position in these times. But the second bit is the voters voted against a planner at one point. This would not, my own view, purely from a political point of view, this might be the best time to say, well, by golly, we're going to stick a planner back in the face. vote on it or else. And so I think that would stack the decks a bit against looking for a plan at this point. I'm not disagreeing with the need for a plan, don't get me wrong. But as a practical matter, I don't think.
Today's not the day.
I think it's not a good time.
Have another question.
I hope I can answer it.
I think it's actually at home. Can you tell us how much we spent out of that account?
The plan you have.
No, the
Overlay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it seems like the majority of the board wants to remove the officer and the planner out of this year's budget, which means we would only need the 113,000. So we could go with the 1.2.
And then, is it possible we can lower taxes?
It's possible, if you designate to put that money towards taxes, we could lower it. But I wouldn't be helpful then, yes.
Well,
I'm just coming in.
yeah, I'm waiting close by, I think the overlay is not figured into any of this.
Okay.
Last year it was 53,000. So I mean, that's a figure we've got to be aware of. But I wonder how much we actually spent.
Slow coming up.
It's always slow when you want it to be fast.
It's also remotely possible, I say remotely because of government. Some of this money may actually start coming through. We're getting small amounts of reimbursement on some of the supplies and whatever we bought that are directly related to the virus, like the disinfecting of the time, the materials and such like. So we're going to get, $15,000, $20,000 on that shortly, just for the reimbursement we've already spent. So they made a big fuss about 2 waves of $5 trillion apiece, and I don't know who's getting it, but it doesn't seem to have come to Maine yet. And then if it comes to Maine, they're putting it towards unemployment, filling the gap in the unemployment fund, which that's good too, but it doesn't pay our bills.
Have any of the revenue started from the airport as far as from the solar panel project?
They expect it to go online next year. Okay, they'll be constructing in the spring, and then we'll start seeing some of that coming soon.
Oh, so it's still?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, I just was asking,
No,
because that's going to be a nice stream to have for sure.
And they're going ahead with all their permitting and all the rest of it, so they're making progress.
I have your number, Ben. So far, 2342.
23,000.
Unexpended balance of 50,986.
Say that again?
Unexpended balance of 50,986. And change.
When do we carry that forward from year to year?
I guess it all depends, right? What the board votes to do.
Or you said it was 53,000,
50, wasn't that the number you wrote down?
53,
Yep. So we've expended 2,342.
Oh, 2,000?
Yeah.
I thought you said 22.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, these masks
No,
are.
no, that's.
I think she did.
No, I might have.
Well, okay, we raised 53,000 last year and only spent 2,300, so we got 50,000 left over.
Yeah.
We could lower that line a little bit, and it would give, give us a little more buffer as far as lowering taxes.
Which one is that?
When you do the tax commitment, after everything else is done, when you decided how much you're going to spend for taxes, the selectmen have the ability at that point to raise up to an additional 5% to cover mistakes of that kind of stuff. Last year, we put in 53, and we only spent 2,300, so technically, we'd be carrying 50,000 forward if we wanted to. But there's a little extra cash there. If it was only 2,300, we'd probably lower it a little bit this year, or the next, that we're on the board in September, we'd lower that a little bit.
Is that where your abatements come from as well?
So basically, our
they're both important. I still think I'd go with a half a year with the police officer started out that way. And I think all the numbers need to fall into place so we wouldn't have a tax increase doing that.
Not the only other situation that we might have is the resource officer might not pass. So that would lower it with the way that everybody's mentality is right now and the police. And to be honest with you, I don't think it would pass. I don't think right now an added police officer and added planner would pass. I don't think we would get it. If you put it out there, separate articles, I think they would deny each one.
Especially at $100,000 for the planner, and I really want a planner, like
I do too.
I'm all about that, but it's just a lot of money in a terrible environment.
But again, like I said in the beginning, if we fund these through Payson, next year you're gonna have to fund them through Payson again. So you're not, in my eyes, you're not getting ahead.
And I think if the people who were pushing for a planner understood that we were going to take it from our investment accounts, they wouldn't want that back.
And we're trying to do what we can to keep the taxes low and not raise them. I mean, the IW just went out on strike, people aren't back to work yet. You know, we can't raise taxes, we just cannot. I think people are stretched to the limit now, and I don't like, I've always said, I don't like taking money out of Payson. Jeff knows that, I keep saying no, 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 but when you have to, you have to.
That's what it's there for.
Yes, and I think the capital improvement is another thing that we're trying to deal with, because if we don't start replacing some of this equipment, we're gonna spend money on repairs. Or we're gonna have a truck all of a sudden go down, and we don't have the money to get another truck. Or an ambulance, or a fire truck, or a police car.
It's like throwing good money after bad.
That's right, that's all it's doing. And like I said last week, if we can get a couple of departments up to par, then next year start on another department and see what they need. And get everybody back where they should be. And then your capital improvement was probably lower to the point that you don't have to keep taking up $1 million every year.
Madam Chair, that sounds really good, but I just don't see that ever happening.
I think it could happen. I really, truly do. I think it could happen.
We might catch them up a little bit, but it was just 2 years ago, we spent $800,000.
On what? You bought a truck.
Well, I know where it went, but that's $800,000 that they
I mean,
can
every
have.
time we take $300,000 or $400,000, to me, you're not accomplishing it. You're not accomplishing a darn thing. Because something comes up where the truck will break down, and we need a new truck, we need this, we need that. You've got trucks at the highway department, what? Some of them are 91, 90?
Any storm, at least one truck will break down every storm.
Bob was here, he'd tell you they're all in great condition.
Right.
Well,
He probably would, he could take some while he's still driving, probably.
So do you want to kind of lay out the options that we have and get like a vote on what we're thinking?
I'm suggesting, and we can't take a motion to do it, but I'm suggesting that we go with the original plan, take out the 1.2 million, spend the $921,000 on capital, and whatever is left over, be put onto lower the tax rate.
And no planner,
No, and no police officer at this time. That's my suggestion to the board. As much as I would love to see a new officer, and I think we do need a planner, I think we're tying next year forward into an expense that we might not be able to afford.
Just for the record, I did find money to plan the police officer that didn't have to go to our reserve to do it.
Right?
I found, but if we took that extra out of the overlay and applied it to the police, we wouldn't have to go to reserves. In that sense. I just want to say that, take the back of your eye.
Well, yeah, it does, but I mean, are you gonna tell the people we're gonna hire a police officer?
They wouldn't know. They wouldn't, Ben would have to be at the poll with each person coming in, explaining what you say makes perfect sense. People don't vote that way.
They don't.
They don't.
I mean, there was an article on Facebook, and I hate to keep saying it, but the staff newspaper website was talking about our meeting last week about what he planned on doing, and there was a lot of people that made comments, stop spending, quit spending, you know.
No matter what the spending is, even if it's productive.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But a lot of people don't understand that by using that money from Payson, we're not increasing the taxes.
Correct.
They don't understand that.
Correct.
If we had to
In the
increase
law.
the taxes to supply all this, like most towns do, what our mill rate would be.
And those trucks last 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, so if you really, that's what I've always tried to explain to people about our capital is that, granted, I've been on the investment committee, you know, when I was a selectman before, and remember, we didn't spend any of it, but we stuck right to it. But then when we needed it, it had grown and we could use it. But it wasn't used frivolously because the 800,000, 1.1 went back in the next year.
Yeah.
So it's really not good money after bad. It's productive spending. So I totally agree with you.
But if we want to keep taxes at flat, I don't think we should use that money, like you said, to fund positions. Especially when they're controversial positions, because the town did eliminate the planner, and we have a good
Twice,
one.
right?
Yeah, and that was only 2 years ago, and there are lots of people who think we should eliminate the police department. Like, that has been a topic kicked around town as well.
Guilty.
See, I think we need the police now.
No.
I know, but I'm just saying
I'm
it's
coming into the line, but
controversial.
everybody here knows that it's been a peeve of mine, but the world's changing.
I agree.
Yes, I was willing to go with the planner, and that's, you're right. So
I
we
agree
go.
with you, Ken, that with what we get reported from the chief, we do need another officer. I agree with you. But I don't think we can do it financially this year. I just don't. That's just my opinion. And I honestly do not feel the tax. I don't think that or the planner the tax.
We can give our new town manager a chance to get in and do some planning with the next select board. You know, since I've been on this board, we've never planned. We've never sat down and figured out what are our goals, what are we gonna instruct the town to do for the next year. Maybe we can make that happen with the next board and the manager, and then see where we are.
Since the withdrawal from the RSU, the select board has been on damage control, and that's almost 8 years.
Mhm.
So no, Kim, you're exactly right. It's, we need to plan.
You know, and if we bring in a new, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dave, I don't mean to do that all the time, I just, but if, you know, we bring in a planner at the same time that we have the manager, and then the manager has to manage this planner, and there's no plan yet, it's just like spinning wheels, like, let's just let the dust settle. We've already lost the first quarter of the year, and we don't know what's gonna happen.
Give each one of those two positions a chance to succeed, instead of to come in under, you know, people literally saying, well, I didn't want it. You know how it works around here. If it passes narrowly, so, Judy, I'm with your proposal.
So, going back to the original one where it was 113,000 increase, and we're going to apply 182,000 to that.
If the town allows us, they have to vote on that.
Well, yes. Okay. And if the overlay drops a little bit, then there actually would be a slight decrease in taxes.
Right.
Not much, but it would
It'd be
be.
a slight decrease.
That would be great, even if it was like $10 a month would help
Agreed.
right now, you know?
Agreed.
Okay, so are we in some type of a consensus? I know we can't vote because we're in a workshop, but we need some type of consensus of that.
I think that that's a great budget.
I do, I think it's the
Thank
best,
you, John.
I think it's the best we can do.
Don't forget
Can I bring
Oh,
up
wait.
another thing?
Thank you.
The rec revenue, did you guys want to consider, what Jeff suggested about the average revenue for the past 6 years? 429,000 kind of meets weighing in the middle on this? Give them
I
a
feel
little bit
comfortable
of,
with
the
the
benefit
four
of the down a
29.
bit?
No, John, no, not in your number, it's like Kim was saying, it's kind of like an incentive, it's not, so to speak, him going, oh my gosh, it's kind of meeting in the middle.
Nothing to keep me away from that.
429.
For $429,000 is the average over 6 years.
All right, so we're giving them another $29,000.
Yeah, for
Of
him to
revenue.
meet, like, yeah,
Right.
a goal, and then I feel like that it's, right.
Okay, now, the next thing I wanted to talk to everybody about is, Thursday night. Do you think that we could meet and, as a selectmen's meeting, to vote on the warrant articles so that they could go to the budget committee? That gives the budget
Can
committee,
we do the following Tuesday?
Only
Only reason why I'm saying is that's when we hold our selectmen's meetings.
No,
We got it all free.
we can't, we have to have,
well,
No, I meant we can, is all I'm saying, is that we can do it next Tuesday.
Oh,
that's not a regular selectmen's meeting, the selectmen's meeting.
Thursdays it isn't either.
No, but I'm saying,
I have Thursday in the calendar. Do
Well, we just had it for a budget workshop.
right, but understand something, I was thinking today, if we met Thursday for a half hour, big deal. Vote on the articles as we have them. That gives the budget committee 1 week.
Are we under a crunch on the other side? Gotcha.
They have to approve, give their recommendations, so that we can, on the 7th of July, which is our normal selectmen's meeting, we would be able to vote on the warrant. Vote on the warrant, and it can go to publishing. Correct?
Well, we've got September 8th, so I guess I don't know why July 7th has to be,
I think that was the date that we were given, July 7th. We
Yeah,
asked-
that's 60 days.
Yeah, typically the clerk has to have it 60 days prior to.
There it is.
that
She
meeting.
wanted July 1st, remember, Ben, and we postponed it to July 7th at our first meeting. This way, everybody will get an opportunity, we'll have our work done by Thursday night, give it to the budget committee, let them do their recommendations. They can bring it to us on the 7th, and we can vote, sign it, and away we go.
is John going to present what we vote on to the budget committee?
I assume so.
It's just a matter of a long list, and they're,
Well, I mean, they may have questions. I mean, that's reasonable.
Or you can get a hold of Zach, and you can get a hold of Zach
oh, yeah.
and tell him what our plans are as far as our dates.
Call them more.
And maybe they can set up a meeting that they can have during that week. But it gives them a week to have a meeting to be able to go over our budget and vote on
Are we going article by article Thursday night?
it. Yes, we have to, because we have to do our recommendations. And it shouldn't take us that long.
Well, we can vote on it as it is. We can do the, we can go article, when we do the final one on the 7th, we can go through all of them to make sure. Technically, this isn't going to change, is it? Just to get it to the budget committee.
But we cannot vote on it tonight. We have to have.
The police, it will change a little bit when we adjust the numbers for the police, because I think the one that's dated today has the police officer in it, so we'll have to. But we could go back to the one that we had on the 18th if we still have, those would be the right numbers.
But we can't vote on it now anyway, right?
We can't
We
vote on it
can
tonight.
line it up in the warrant format, go through it one by one. Abby's got template from last year and all,
Oh, you said it, yeah.
some, I don't know if
We can just take a few minutes and say, okay, we got, administration, $192,625, all those in favor, yes or no?
But we don't, also like, kind of like Ben is saying, is that we're not presenting our budget to the town, we're just presenting it to the budget committee. On the 7th is when we do the thumbs up or I mean,
I always thought we did it before we sent it to the budget committee.
We do, because each one has to have a recommendation, and you have to have a recommendation on each article, so that's why you vote on them separately.
I thought we've always done it, given our recommendations, and then it went to the budget committee, because they saw what we had recommended. That's the way we've always done it.
it's our budget.
I understand that, but we.
See, I don't mind what you're saying, but it doesn't make any sense if what we're doing is we're saying to the budget committee. I thought that you were saying this is a vote that needs to count as far as, but if we're just passing this along to them, I guess I don't see what the vote is for, because we're all for it. This is our budget. We're 5-0 on.
Not necessarily.
No, I mean, on every article, I think that's.
No, maybe not on July 7th. But all we're doing is we're presenting our budget, what John has said to them, and then.
We've never done it that way then.
Okay.
Not that I've ever known that we've ever done it that way.
So when it gets to the budget committee, they will see the board's recommendation as 5-0 or 3, and that's how it's been done since I've been here.
The only thing we're doing on July 7th is signing the warrant article. That's all we're doing.
We're not going line by line?
No.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. I thought, then I'll do it whenever you say. I just go,
The only thing we're doing on the 7th is signing the warrant article.
perfect.
So that they can go to the printer and get printed. That's
Awesome.
all we're doing.
Providing everything on it is correct.
Right, we have to make sure everything's right, and that the budget committee has their numbers, their recommendations, we have our recommendations.
Yep.
But I think we've always put ours in, give it to the budget committee. I think I'm right, Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back.
Perfect.
And it shouldn't take us more than a half hour, I don't think we're looking at meetings. It's not gonna be that big of a deal.
So 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock on Thursday, it will be a selectmen's meeting, so we can vote. It can't be a workshop, it has to be a selectmen's meeting. And we will vote on the warrant articles, our recommendations for the warrant articles.
I'm just exhausted, I'm thoroughly,
Can you
this has
zoom in?
this has been the hardest time being a selectman that I've ever, I just.
Really? I actually enjoyed it.
Oh, my word.
Would Jeff be able to zoom in?
Because, well, that's what I was wondering. We could start at 4:30 if we can do a Zoom meeting.
Or he could zoom, like we could be here and I can put my laptop here.
No, I'll
and you
come.
could zoom.
That's not it. I'm just,
Like I said, a half hour is
Yep,
the
perfect.
most I think we can do.
We might be doing, yeah.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock's perfect.
5 o'clock?
I will be here
Okay. and
with
that-
bells on.
Okay. So,
We're
okay.
gonna
Sorry,
hold,
only-
we're gonna hold you to that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ben?
Only that all of these things will be refigured with the rec thing going up.
It's going down.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Well, it's
revenue
going to
goes up.
429.
Yeah.
It was 453 and now it's 429.
But if the revenue goes up, then these numbers go down a little.
Well,
And whatever you want to decide is the overlay, it was 53 last year, we don't need that much, but that will make the final difference on the taxes. Because it could be 1 to 5%. So,
the overlay's only set, I believe, when the tax commitment has been put in place, correct?
Yeah, it should have been last year. Yeah, that's done when they do the tax commitment, right?
yes, but that goes directly to the taxpayers to pay.
Yeah, they did.
If we only used 2,300 out of it last year, I would say 25, 30,000 ought to be enough. So that will help us a little bit on the bottom line. The board that's in place in September can go up to 5% if they want. We can at least put in what we think is a reasonable recommendation. If they want to raise taxes, that's their decision at that point.
Okay.
Because you can raise it up to 5%.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it. Okay, perfect.
So it's possible that by doing everything in 1.2 million, like, for instance, we won't lower the taxes a little bit.
If we do all of those things, yes, we will lower it a little
Which
bit.
would be good, which would be helpful for the people. Okay. Anything else? All right, I'm gonna move that we enter an executive session pursuant to 1 NRSA 4056A. And there will be no vote afterwards.
I thought you were gonna say your adjourn.
All those in favor? Pardon?
No vote, you say after.
No, none.